This broadcast is inappropriate for all ages, right here on hashtag WeAreMovieClub. This is Scary Movie Squad. Salutations, I am Camerai, and I am conversation ready, apparently. Let's go ahead and fix that. I sat up. Oh, see, I did it again. Oh, see, I'm a miracle worker. I can sit up, and then I can frame a shot. Hire me, please. Alright, so despite our inconsistent posting, we're here to talk about Mama! One of my, I don't know, my favorite's the right word or whatnot. Cat, do not push this microphone at me. What are you doing? But definitely, let's say favorites, fuck it. I was really impressed by the composition, the child acting, and, there's just so much good stuff in here, and apparently there won't be for the next couple weeks. But that's okay. Let's just jump right in. The movie kind of opens on Dad bursting into his daughter's room. He gathers up the kids, it's his two daughters, and he leaves. Out on the road, they're driving too fast. The daughter even mentions it. Like, Dad, you're driving too fast. Dad yells at her because he's a fucking great parent. And then he ends up driving off the road as a result. Not only does he drive off the road, but if I'm remembering correctly, he goes through a guardrail and then like down the side of a mountain, basically. So out in the woods where the car lands, they break into this abandoned cabin, and I don't know, like, it's okay, but it's still creepy looking enough, even in the daylight, that maybe you don't mess with it. Let's see, daughter says she doesn't want to go in, someone's in there, and I think he knocks. I could be wrong. But they go in, he gets them situated and goes in the hallway to cry. And that's what you do. You try not to let your kids see you cry because you don't want to appear weak. Whatever. But in the living room, Dad goes all weird. And then we realize it's because he's about to shoot her. He takes off her glasses so she can't see him. That was a nice touch. And he goes to shoot what's really funny is that he goes to shoot the older daughter first, without her glasses so she can't see him, but the younger daughter, who can see perfectly fine as far as we can tell, he just lets wander around. In fact, if he'd managed to pull the trigger and kill her, he'd have to chase down the other daughter. Now, granted, she's tiny, maybe that wouldn't matter as much, but all of a sudden, and this is one of the things that makes the movie so much different than other movies. She's looking outside without her glasses, so she can't see shit anyways. Something grabs him right before he can shoot her. And it's very obvious that it's a supernatural something. It's not like there's suddenly a person behind him. It's not like he suddenly gets hit in the back of the head. It's very much like there's like hair doing that number behind him. There's like grayscale skin. The type of stuff you see in like zombies or whatever. So we immediately know that something's up. So we get that initial question of like, oh, what's this thing we don't understand happening? And we get that answer pretty fast, if I'm going to be completely honest. And this is what kind of sets this movie apart for me from other movies, is that we get that answer up front and we know what we're dealing with. And we're not seeing it from the character's perspective, but we're seeing it as an event line. And I enjoy that personally a lot more, especially because we don't get that a lot. Usually we have to have a lead singer to follow because we're mindless idiots. And apparently you need that. It's one of the reasons why I like Sword Art Online so much, is because, we're shown a lot of stuff from Kirito's perspective, but the show's not about that, about him. It's about the event series. Let's see. Already diverted from Mama. But later, it ends up feeding the girls cherries, and the opening credits happen because we still have those back when this was made. Let me start including the year. And then we open the movie again on a guy in a room, and it looks similar to their dad. Let's just be honest. And he's checking in with hunters that apparently he's hired to go look for his nieces. Girlfriend is taking a pregnancy test, comes up negative. Woo, she's so happy. In the woods, hunters find the cabin finally, after what, like 5 years? Most ridiculous bullshit. Let's see, so, I'm trying to figure out how to describe this, because they go into the cabin, and they're looking around. It's all dilapidated. Who knows where they've been going to the bathroom, or if it's just grime or shit or whatever, but it looks a lot worse than it did 5 years ago. And they're wandering around, and they don't see, like, a body scurry in the background. They come in to see this pile of cherry pits. So it's possible that the girls were just eating cherries. I don't know how healthy that is for you for, like, however many years. But they're sneaking around. They're creepy crawling. It is really unsettling to watch that, too. But it turns out they're completely feral, because they managed to scare both the hunters without getting shot, mind you. And one of them was just waiting on the fridge the entire time, just blending into the background, because she's just as dirty as filthy as the cabin. And she's all crouched down, or whatever. And then the other one, I think it's Lily. I think Lily's the younger one, ends up crawling under her, so that it looks even creepier, because now it's a two-headed thing staring at him, like doing one of these numbers. Just bobbing and weaving and growling, and it's crazy. So, cut to a facility of some kind. Uncle and the girlfriend go to see the girls for the first time. The uncle brings Victoria her glasses, because we all know that she can't see for shit. Which is funny, that the prescription would be just right even after all that time. Let's see. Oh yeah, so she calls him Daddy because he looks just like his brother. Which is a nice touching moment to see that reunited, but then they have to break her heart and explain that Daddy's not around anymore. His sister, which I don't understand her involvement in this movie, for a lot of it anyways, ends up to show up to take the girls. And it's my impression that she has not been involved in the search for them at all. It's just, she heard that they were found, so she showed up to take them. Like it's expected. It's really quite annoying, really, as a character. Let's see. Uncle wants to contest custody, and the doctor ends up offering them a house. And I guess maybe he had this conversation with her first. But there's a research house that they use. And so if they'll award custody if they agree to like a psychological study on the girls, because we don't get a lot of feral child data. Just how it is. So let's see. Okay, so, and then part of the agreement, too, is that the doctor sees the girls, they have sessions, and he puts them under hypnosis to try to pull repressed memories from them. Now, it's not necessarily that they'd be unwilling to talk about all of this, but the problem with this is that, like, doing hypnosis for repressed memories is often shown to create false memories. It doesn't mean that you aren't getting, like, a lot of the truth, but, like, it's got a fuzzy accuracy on it. So she ends up telling a mama's story, a story that she couldn't possibly have known. But since we know that mama has to be this supernatural thing, we know that like mama talked to him like she says, and that it has to be something from like a past life, a ghost, a supernatural entity of some kind. So knowing that and getting these little bits of clues about Mama's past, even if it's told from an implausible thing, it's actually supporting the case. It's interesting, and it's a good way to deliver information that's so out of place in what's currently happening in the house, if you will. In the house itself, the girls finally arrive to move in. They go explore because they're kids that do that. Victoria recognizes the dog, which is good. And the other girl seems to have, like, Lily. Victoria and Lily, those are the two girls. But the younger girl, Lily, seems to not understand not being on the floor. Like, she doesn't sit at the table. She sits on the floor and kind of eats out of a dog bowl. Up in the bedroom, she hides under the bed instead of on top. I don't know if that's like an anti-bear tactic. I don't know what's going on out in those woods. Like, it's just, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, hey, I like the floor. And then if they ever try to touch her, like, pretty much throughout the movie, she kind of growls or screams at them. And it's like, okay, I'll walk away now. Annabelle's the girlfriend. Let's see. Upstairs, there's a fantastic shot that I want to talk about. Lily sees a moth, and she chases it. Because she knows, I don't think we know at this point in the movie, but she knows that's a sign of Mama. So we kind of get a little foreshadowing thing going on there. But there's this fantastic cut shot, or not cut shot, single shot of the hallway and the bedroom. So we're seeing the bedroom door on the right and the hallway on the left. And we see Annabelle kind of walking back and forth doing laundry. Lily runs into the room, starts playing. And the assumption is, I guess, is supposed to be that she's playing with Victoria. Well, sure enough, we see Victoria kind of follow Annabelle around in the hallway. So we're looking at the screen, and it gives you just enough time to ask, well, who's Lily playing with then? Before you start kind of like piecing it together, unless you know immediately. But Annabelle hears Lily like screaming and playing and whatever because she's having a good time, and then she falls over, so you hear like the body thunk. I think she even slams into the dresser a bit, but then she gets up and runs back because no big deal. Kids are bouncy. So what happens is that Annabelle starts walking down the hallways towards the camera, and then Victoria kind of screams at her from down the hallway. It's like, hey, I need your help. And she didn't need her help. But Annabelle comes so close to walking into that room, and things kicking off. And then Lily is obviously still playing, and then sure enough, as Victoria walks back to the room to go in, Lily's feet are kicking along the top of the screen, and Victoria shuts the door. So we get to see there's a little bit more supernatural stuff going on, and we get to see that Victoria, for whatever reason, doesn't want Annabelle to interact or find out about Mama. And I can't tell if the motivation is that, like, really that, like, they'll try to take one away from the other, or Mama's just jealous. At night, Lily scares Annabelle by crouching in the kitchen counter because Lily's a dick. Let's just be honest. She won't sit at the table, but she'll stand on the kitchen counter. Fuck that kid. That actor does such a good job of presenting her character that it's amazing. It's just amazing to me. Let's see. So Annabelle thinks someone's upstairs. The uncle investigates. He finds a moth. We follow the moth only to have it burrow into the wall. Creates this hole, and then like this thing bursts out of the wall. We can assume it's Mama. It's very clear that like all the supernatural stuff's linked together, so we can assume that this is at least caused by Mama if it's not Mama herself. But it ends up knocking him down. He does like the whole drops off the second story thing, falling down the stairs, so he gets hospitalized. So that takes him out of the movie for pretty much until the end. Like, he recovers a little bit there, but so now like we're in this weird situation, which I honestly don't know if I've seen other movies where the girlfriend has to take care of kids that aren't even her boyfriends or spouses, but just ones that, how do I say it, they're in charge of. So now it's wards of wards, essentially. Let's see. So Annabelle has the police come search the house because she thought she saw somebody. Can't find any break-ins, of course. Doctors piece together that Mama might be real, which is fun that the doctor's the one theorizing this. The girls are giggling behind Annabelle's back about Mama because Mama's supposedly standing behind Annabelle, making faces and stuff. And there's this really great moment where Annabelle, like I mentioned earlier, Annabelle's trying to get Lily out from under the bed, and it's no. If I remember right, too, part of the reason for that is so that they can hold hands or whatever while they sleep. And there's always a comfort issue with kids that you need to adhere to one way or the other. And so that's how they deal. But, yay. So at night, Annabelle catches the girl's plane. Annabelle goes to the closet, and Victoria warns her again. So this is like the second time that it's obviously been established that Victoria likes Annabelle enough and likes her uncle enough to try to prevent Mama from hurting them, and that she comprehends jealousy as far as Mama does. So Victoria is kind of our everyman in this. She's the one caught between the worlds with all the knowledge, if you will. But Annabelle just closes the door instead of opening it, because why does she need to go in there? Obviously, she's trying not to upset the girls. With the doctor, Annabelle mentions the girls are playing with an imaginary friend. I think the doll comes up in conversation. But Annabelle heard her singing, and then the doctor plays the tape back. So it's like, it's just so many impossible scenarios. At which point are these people going to start believing in the supernatural thing? And again, the doctor's already leading that charge. Annabelle's probably seen more evidence at this point than she cares to believe. But there's that wonderful thing, back from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is kind of my first introduction to it, where people don't want to process things that they aren't expecting. So if you disguise a spaceship as an upside-down bistro, people will just accept it as the thing that's more reasonable than the thing that wouldn't be. I don't know why it was upside down, but okay, so there's the archives scene, like the doctor goes and tries to get some property from the archives, from the asylum, that we later learn is involved with Mama. And he basically brings back this little shoebox type item. It's obviously related to their case, but we're undetermined what it is. Which honestly, I don't think anyone would put that together. It's not obvious that that's what it is. Back at the house, Annabelle hears something with Mama starting to fuck with her, which it already knocked out Uncle. So what would it do to Annabelle? It's just, I guess it's based on the apparentness of the children's affection for these other people, because Mama doesn't want to lose her kids. That's like the whole thing here. At the hospital, the uncle ends up having a dream conversation with his brother, which it seems like Mama's visiting him in the hospital, but like maybe her powers aren't very strong there. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the rules are. They don't explain it very well. I wish it was more interesting in that regard. Let's see. At the house, Victoria's in the bathroom. She's crying. She's trying to open a jar of cherries. Like, I don't know why that would make her cry. Maybe she's just feeling homesick for the cabin before they had all these new things to lose. But she doesn't want Annabelle to get hurt. Mama gets jealous. She actually says she gets jealous. So, yay. The aunt ends up coming to visit, and she's like way late. You would think she would try to be more involved. She just seems to want to control, which is not always the best thing. But she comes in and she almost immediately accuses Annabelle of child abuse. And she doesn't even address the girl. I don't even think she says hi to him. She walks in, she looks at him, she sees some bruising, she sees how they're acting and behaving, and she thinks it's Annabelle's fault. They're psychologically traumatized feral children. Go fuck yourself, lady. You know? Get out of here with that. And so, her visit gets cut short. I don't know why you would bother to show up, to spend time with the kids, not even say hello to them, and then attack the caregiver. It doesn't make sense, even if you don't like them. The doctor insists Victoria tell him about Mama. He seems to think that maybe Victoria's Mama, which you gotta deal with if you're dealing with multiple personality disorder. But the wall behind him ends up freaking out, and he runs. Out in the woods, the doc goes to see the cabin, which I'm still not sure why he did that, but I guess that's fine. We get this psychedelic flashback of Mama back at the asylum. She ends up killing a nun with a knitting needle or something, and steals a baby. It's unclear if it's actually her baby or if it's just a baby she claimed. Thinking that I'll take care of it and it'll love me. But she killed a nun. They frown on that, even back in those days. So, obviously there's a big hullabaloo. There's a mob after her. She ends up running through the woods to get away from them. She ends up jumping off a cliff. The baby ends up caught on some branches, on the way down. So the baby doesn't even drown or die in impact like Mama probably did. At least the wind got knocked out of her and then she drowned. But they let the baby die. I guess nobody wanted to climb down to get it, which is fucked up. Or maybe the baby was dead by the time that happened. I don't know. I can't go back and do forensics. So it's neat that we get to see that, because it is actually really well done. It's well presented. A lot of this movie is really just top-notch presentation. It's great atmosphere. It's got just good music and sound effects going on. Let's see. Back at the house, Victoria's watching Mama under Annabelle's bed. Annabelle, it's what is it, Victoria? And Mama ends up doing this weird thing where she crawls kind of like this, that's how she ends up moving around. But she ends up dragging herself around the bed up to the top, and then Annabelle wakes up. So it's unclear whether or not it was a dream or she passed out as it was happening and then woke up later. In the girls' room, it's late. So the latter's probably likely, given that how late it is. But Lily tries to get Victoria to come play with Mama. Victoria stay, which is kind of a classic thing. If you heard somebody just say that, I think that you would think of this movie. But Lily goes out the window on her own, apparently to go play with Mama. Back at the cabin, there's all sorts of noise. It's dark. The doctor picks up a camera and starts taking pictures. He's using the flash to try to look around. Obviously, the camera's also catching evidence. But Mama, let's just say she doesn't like the doctor, and comes for him and ends up killing him right there. I don't know what happens to his body, though. It's not apparent. I don't know where it would go, if there's the upside down that she could drag it to, or she just threw it out the backyard. But he's disappeared or whatever, and they declare... No, they have to find his body, because they declare him dead. I don't know. But back at the house, Annabelle freaks out because she can't find Lily. Turns out she's outside. The kid slept on the ground outside under a bush. Don't ever do that to yourself. And put insulation between you and the ground. If it's middle of the day and you're taking a nap in the grass, that's a little bit different. You got sun on you. Ground will suck heat out of you. So if you're ever really hot, lay down on the ground. Yeah, it'll help cool you down. But they have this really nice bonding moment because Lily's so cold and Annabelle's so worried that she ends up, like, force hugging her. Not force hugging, but, like, she wraps her arms around her and she won't let go. She's like, just calm down, it'll be okay. You're so cold. And then she ends up taking her hand and kind of blowing in it to try to warm it up. And Lily has this moment where it's like, she's not hurting me. I kind of like that. Because I am kind of cold. And so it's this nice bonding moment that you got to imagine if Mama's observing this, she's furious. So in the girls' room, like, Mama's like, I don't know what she's doing, but she's like on the floor turned away. And Annabelle comes in to like put clothes up or something. It's like she mistakes Mama for Lily. And then Victoria's yelling from the kitchen because they're trying to like make food. And they're like, come on, Lily's hungry. So sure enough, Annabelle looks in the closet because that's where Mama slinked to. And there's a close call there. Like where Mama's like on the other side of the things, and there's a crack in the wall type deal. So she gets concerned and tries to reach the doctor. She starts going through his files on the den because the den's supposed to be like the official office for that area. But because they haven't heard from him in a while, they end up going to the doctor's office. She finds out that he's dead or not around anymore, whatever you want to call it, and steals his files, to include his laptop, which I thought was impressive. Back at the house, Annabelle's going through the doctor's computer files, which I cannot for the life of me figure out how she got into the laptop. Doesn't make any sense. But she's watching videos of like the hypnotism. She's watching Victoria tell the doctor about Mama through hypnotism. Out in the woods. Apparently the uncle's out of the hospital at this point. I don't know where I missed that in the notes. But he's just wandering around. I guess he's looking for the cabin? I don't know. Let's see here. So in the house, Victoria comes to say goodnight to Annabelle. Lily shakes her head at her. And then Victoria tells Annabelle that she loves her. I think Lily was trying to warn her not to, is what it was. Because like, they know that Mama gets angry. But much later, the girls come back downstairs. Annabelle's still looking at the laptop. And they see Mama. And Victoria warns Lily not to look at her. She's mad. But Lily's always happy to see Mama because Mama's taking care of him for so long. And then Mama charges, and Lily realizes that, no, this is not the time to be happy about Mama. So the girls actually run upstairs. Lily shuts Victoria out of the room, which I thought was funny. Because it's that whole thing. It's like, I don't have to be faster than the bear, just you. Annabelle runs upstairs. Even Lily's upset at this point. Mama charges Annabelle. Annabelle runs out and down the hall. Mama comes out the door and bites Annabelle, which I thought was really interesting. Like, it wasn't like, it's not like a vampire bite. It's not a werewolf bite. It's, how do I say it? It's like a leech bite, almost. Because she starts draining energy out of Annabelle. But Victoria yells at her. She charges Victoria. And she crushes Victoria's glasses because she doesn't like them. It's a symbolism of Victoria's humanity versus her ferality. It's a symbol of her being with a civilized family instead of Mama. Because the whole time she was with Mama, she didn't wear the glasses. She just accepted the fuzzy world. Which probably would help with the ferality, honestly. So Auntie shows up because she has magnificent timing. And then Mama sinks into the floor. This is a really cool effect. I don't know if I would ever include it on purpose, but the execution was good. Because it ends up being like she's a shark and she kind of is just swimming through the floor as a mass, as like a wig. It's so funny to think about it like that. But she goes after the aunt. Victoria goes to check, and the aunt's in the kitchen, missing a boot for whatever reason. And it looks like Mama's attempting a possession of sorts. Like, the aunt's face is warped to look kind of like Mama. And it's really creepy and unsettling. And again, like, it's the only reason the aunt's included in the movie. But I could have done without it. I don't think it's necessary. I think it would have been a much more interesting approach if Mama had carried Victoria and Lily through the upside down, if you will. And that if the way that Annabelle got to them is by following the tunnel that Mama left to get to the cabin, that would have been a real interesting way to go. But I mean, there's a lot involved in doing that. I guess the possession thing's a lot cheaper if you're looking at it from a production standpoint. And it's not a bad effect. It's just, I don't know. I just didn't think it was necessary. But Annabelle ends up waking up from her leech bite. The girls are gone. She's panicking. She goes to try to find them. She almost hits her boyfriend on the way there, which, who knows how many days he's been wandering around in the woods just by himself. They get to the cabin. They find the aunt's body. And the only thing I can think of that happened with that is that Mama wanted to drive a car, and so she borrowed the aunt's body so that she could load the girls up in the car and then drive to the woods. Maybe that was Mama's attempt to try to join the girls in their world, and then realized it wasn't working out, and so she abandons the body. It feels like there's a whole story arc that we missed because they wanted to cut it down for time. That's all I'm saying. But for whatever reason, we find ourselves at this cliff, and I think it's because of the research Annabelle was doing, talking about how Mama died. Because it's very obvious that at this point that Mama wants the girls. But what she did with the last baby was run through the woods and jump off this cliff. So maybe that's how she's going to handle things this time. Not sure. It's getting like, we don't get a lot of clear answers in this movie, but we get enough to kind of surmise things and deal with what's actually happening, which I really enjoy. Let's see. Mama has the girls. She's hovering just off the cliff, kind of beckoning to them. Which still is a cool effect. But one of my favorites is coming up. She's calling to the girls. Lily goes to go to her. The uncle stops her. Mama attacks him because she needs it to be the girl's choice, apparently, to come with her. Like, they have to willingly love her for whatever the reason. But these people interfering with the process, it's like antibodies. She's got to attack the foreign contaminant. Annabelle brings Mama her baby, the dead baby, the one wrapped in cloth and is just a little baby skeleton, which is amazing that they kept that and that it's so pristine, given the circumstances. So Mama actually takes it to walk off the cliff again. And the way Mama transforms, I really like, because I don't know if that's a real person, because they end up using that model in something I just watched. Oh, it was in It, the painted lady. It's a very similar model, so I don't know if it's a thing, but so I'm hesitant to say like, grotesque, because if I saw a real person like that, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're grotesque. I was just saying, like, in the context of the scene, it's a little terrifying to see that shape happening. But she transforms into what one would relate as a carrying, more palatable figure. And like, she goes to walk off the cliff, and then she's upset that it's dead. And that transformation to being sad for a moment. But when she hears Lily's voice call out, damn it, Lily, Mama transforms back in kind of like the monster version. She throws her baby's bones to the wind and she attacks. It's very dramatic, very cool scene. They do a really good job with it. But Mama knocks out the uncle. She picks up Annabelle and drops her. Annabelle asks Victoria to stay, and she fights to hang on to Victoria. And basically ends up passing out on her feet, is what happens. Mama ends up accepting Victoria's choice because Victoria sees what's happening and chooses to stay. Victoria stay. And I don't know if it's because she's never seen love from anyone from Mama before, or if she has recognition of her mortality. I don't know. Like, we don't get the information there. That would have been a good epilogue piece, is talking to Victoria about why she decided to stay. Or watching her color it. But she takes Lily, and they float off the cliff. They form a cocoon and plummet. So there's no chance for Lily to have that last second regret to leave, and she's giggling as it is. And they have this magical bonding moment where Mama and her daughter are there together, loving each other. They hit the tree branch, and of course, as you all predicted from the start, they burst into a bunch of moths. I mean, it's the natural angle to approach this from. Everyone's kind of cuddling together on the cliff, and they're watching this happen. And then, like, one of the moths land on her finger, and based on her experience with Mama, she asks the moth if it's Lily. And so that really actually sets it up really well for a Mama 2, where Victoria gets revisited, at least by Lily, if not by Mama, and then maybe is given, like, a second chance to join them, or to interact with them on some kind of level. Or maybe she's interacting with her ghost sister, and trying to hide it from Annabelle and her uncle. There's a lot of good options there for a sequel if they ever chose to do it. And the way you hear about these things is like, oh, of course they're going to do it. And let's just be honest, it's not necessarily on anyone's priority list. All right, I've been talking about this for a little bit, but that's Mama in a nutshell. Highly recommended. Apologize if I didn't present it like super well, but it's a creepy, atmospheric movie. It's not necessarily a jump scare movie, but like it really depends upon what you consider to be a scary movie, and I have trouble with that. But I recognize this as a creepy, horrific type thing, and I really love the approach. Whereas like a lot of monster movies are just kind of like, really, this is what we consider scary these days. Okay. So if you're looking for something refreshing, at least, go check this out. Come watch movies, other scary movies with us every Friday over on Rabbit/Camerai. So until we see you next time, this has been Scary Movie Squad, right here on #WeAreMovieClub. If you see anything else we're up to, go ahead and click the annotations, and they'll take you to our other channels. Thanks for watching.